Hello everyone. My name's Karen Lunny and I'm the National Coordinator for Spiritual Care Australia, and I'm presenting now on an update on our activities and our projects for 2020 and 2021. I'd like to start by saying I work with an amazing bunch of people. These are our SCA board, and amongst them they have experience in all the things listed there. So spiritual and pastoral care in health, industry, emergency, prisons, the military, clinical pastoral education, medicine, university lecturing, research law, finance, management, business, international trading, life coaching, theology and ministry, welfare, working in not-for-profit organisations, strategic planning, and multi-faith and cross-cultural work. So as you can see, there is an absolute wealth of experience in your Spiritual Care Australia board. You can see their pictures over on the side there. James is our president, Diana and Jean our vice presidents, Elias our treasurer and company secretary. Kate has been our membership registrar and helped by Lena. Megan, Christine, Sherry, John and Bernadette are also very valuable, important members of the board. And they are fabulous to work with and have fabulous ideas on where Spiritual Care Australia is going and could go in the future. One of the things that we've been working on has been the credentialing project, and I won't talk any more about that because James has given a complete separate update on the credentialing project. So please, if you didn't actually see that presentation, I encourage you to go back and have another look at that. Another of our activities this year has been a joint professional development program. Now, in the past, Spiritual Care Victoria's hub worked with Spiritual Health Victoria and Anzac Pev, who are the Victorian branch of ANZACP, to do a gathered spiritual care practitioner professional development program once a month, being roughly 8 times a year, and they were usually in Melbourne, although occasionally in some of the regional centres. At the end of last year, when we realised that getting through 2020 meant that we could do a lot more things online, this program then went national. Spiritual Health Victoria had become the Spiritual Health Association and were already a national body, and Spiritual Care Australia National, rather than Victoria, took up the reins on this, and ANZACP, the national body rather than ANZACPEV, joined us as well. If you're worried about all of those acronyms, I do encourage you to check out the little video called Alphabet Soup that takes you through the many different acronyms that are in use in the spiritual care field. So our joint professional development program is a Zoom-based 2-hour professional development that occurs on the second Wednesday every month in the afternoon for those of us in the eastern states, obviously a little earlier if you're over in WA. The content covers both core competency and different interest areas. So we've looked at things like charting and making notes. We've looked at things like the international research on the effect that COVID-19 has had on the spiritual care profession, particularly in health. We've looked at trauma and crisis response, and our most recent one was very creatively titled The Psyche, the Soul and the Wardrobe, looking at the place of mental health within spiritual care. So those ones that I've just mentioned, you can actually purchase them online at spiritualcareaustralia.org.au, and we have a fabulous lineup for the rest of the year, with our next session being in August, looking at mandalas and art therapy with Michelle Morgan. I encourage you to hop onto the SCA website, have a look at what's coming up, and sign up for those that you're interested in, or purchase those that have already happened. Part of Spiritual Care Australia's work this year has been working with TAS, who are the association specialists. Now, TAS are the people who send out your newsletters and membership updates and links to the AGM. TAS have been working with us to look at our strategic objectives and our strategic planning. So they've said that we're actually quite well along in that we have a good mission and values statement, we have a good constitution, and from that constitution they've been able to draw 5 things that are our strategic objectives, which would fit into that green box over there, talking about strategic objectives. And these are the promotion of the well-being of Australians through support of spiritual care practitioners. The next is to talk of certification, credentialing, registration and membership clarification. And this, as James talked about in his presentation, is about protecting the public through making sure that those who are part of Spiritual Care Australia as spiritual care practitioners are appropriate for the roles that they are taking. Another of our strategic objectives is to look at the improvement of practice for spiritual care practitioners, and part of this is the professional development course that I just spoke about, talking about approving courses of study to become a spiritual care practitioner, and we already have the documents on our website of our standards of practice and our code of ethics, which I encourage you to go and have a look at. We are also involved in some research, and in a lot of ways our strategic planning is also around promoting the research that is already happening in the spiritual care field and sharing that with our members. And of course, like every organisation, we need to make sure that we do have organisational stability, and TAS help us greatly in that, in terms of the many practical things that any association needs to be involved in, such as annual general meetings, annual reports. We have a fabulous finance our company secretary with Elias, and those are all part of being a worthwhile organisation and being a stable organisation for going forward. Our next step will be to look at further strategies. We already have some in place, but looking at our further strategies that would roughly take 3 to 5 years, that are measurable and quantifiable to meet those strategic objectives. And then within those objectives, we may have some smaller initiatives. So that's the background and the framework that we have from TAS, and those are our strategic objectives for the next 5 or so years. Some of you may know that SCA are actually active on social media. We have 2 Facebook presences. One is the Facebook group that's under Spiritual Care Australia group, and that is a discussion space where people can put up articles of interest, interesting memes, interesting reflections, that sort of thing, and other people are encouraged to either use them or comment on them. So that is open to anyone and everyone. You don't have to be a member of SCA to be part of that Spiritual Care Australia group. We are actually getting requests from all over the world to join that group, some of whom are appropriate, and for those of you who have been involved in Facebook groups, some of them not necessarily so. We do have a list of our ethics and what have you within that group, which you will find if you go into Facebook. The other social media presence we have on Facebook is our Spiritual Care Australia page. And in a page, that's mostly for us promoting and advertising the events and activities of SCA rather than a general discussion. SCA also have a Twitter account. I have to say it hasn't been used particularly well over the last few years, but we hope to put some more stuff out there on Twitter. And if you are tweeting, about Spiritual Care Australia, please do link back to our Twitter profile. Thank you. One of the other things that we've done is we have worked more clearly on the hubs structure for SCA. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the professional development that there was SCA Victoria. Now the Victorian hub is just one of many hubs throughout Australia. And the sorts of things that the hubs do are they will also hold professional development events. They may hold Zoom meetings, or usually it used to be coffee and chat. Let's get together and network and what have you. In the last year or so, we've all learnt to be Zoom natives. So a lot of the hubs events have been Zoom based. So a hub can be established in any state, territory or region. So our hubs that we have at the moment are geographically based. However, if there are any people who would be interested in starting a hub for an interest group, say for example, chaplains or pastoral care or spiritual care practitioners, whatever you call yourself, who are particularly in the military or who are in corrections and prisons and would like to have a space for connecting with each other, please do let us know, and we'd be more than happy to put people in touch with each other who are in the same field and are members of SCA. We've been doing a little bit of work on the website. There's a lot more to be done, but one of the major challenges that we've had is with people becoming members and not being exactly sure what evidence they need to provide to become a member. So within the last 6 months, we've updated the website to make that much clearer of what application evidence is needed and what the membership criteria are for the current different levels of membership within SCA. Our registrar has said that that update to the website has meant that the registrations that are coming through, more people are applying at the correct level, and there's much less time spent in conversation back and forth with people about their applications because the information is there right from the beginning. And so we're hoping to actually put more onto our website. We have started working on a list of accredited supervisors. We have started work on a document on how to become a spiritual care practitioner. We'd like to put up more about the different sectors in which our spiritual care practitioners work, and would really appreciate any feedback of what you would hope to find on your SCA website. So if you've ever gone to the SCA website looking for something in particular and you haven't found it there, please do let us know, and we'll see what we can do to update the site so that it actually meets your needs. So that's our SCA website. We have coming up next week our annual general meeting, at which point our annual report will be available. At the AGM, we have two of our board members, James Cox and John Van Beveren, who have finished their term with the board and are both standing for re-election. So those people, we encourage you to get to know them, perhaps throughout James throughout this conference, and John throughout his bio for those who are attending the AGM to potentially re-elect them to the board. We do say thank you, and we will at the AGM, to our board members who are standing down, Diana from South Australia and Peter from Queensland. So there will be 2 empty spaces on the board. We haven't received nominations for those spaces as yet, so we will be looking to co-opt people onto our board, which our constitution decrees that we can do if there are empty spaces on the board, because we like to keep our numbers on the board up to 12 so that we can have that fabulous breadth of experience. So more on that at the actual AGM, which is coming up on the 30th of this month, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you do need to register to attend the AGM so that a Zoom link can be sent to you. So if you haven't already done that, please do so. Members, you will have received that Zoom link through your emails. The executive officer role was vacated in December last year by Harriet, who had taken on the role originally as an interim and ended up staying for over 2 years, and she has been an absolute godsend to SCA. Harriet decided to retire after having retired a while ago, but then came back into help with SCA. So back in December, I took on the role of National Coordinator as an interim space until the Executive Officer role would be ready to be advertised again. The board is working on advertising that Executive Officer role, so this job will be vacant, and more information on that will be coming through your emails and being advertised throughout our networks. So thank you very much to Harriet. I have really enjoyed working with SCA through the time I've been here, originally only at 8 hours a week, but from this month I've been working at 15 to get everything ready for the conference and the AGM. So it's a fabulous role for those who may be interested. More information will be available shortly. Another of our projects that we've been working on is looking at potential study or university courses for those who are looking to become a spiritual care practitioner. Now, this has involved an ongoing discussion between Spiritual Care Australia, the Spiritual Health Association, Meaningful Ageing Australia, and La Trobe University. Many of you who have been in the field for a while may know of Bruce Rumbold at La Trobe, and he has been a key driving force in helping to use some of the La Trobe courses that are already existing to be able to develop pathways for people who are working in spiritual care to supplement and gain their credentials. So that's one of the exciting projects that there has been some movement on, and we look forward to further movement throughout the rest of the year. For those of you who are not currently members of Spiritual Care Australia, we do encourage you to sign up to become a member. It is important to be part of the professional organisation of your work, your passion, your life, giving, your ministry, whatever you would like to call it. So we do encourage you to join us and to be part of Spiritual Care Australia if you haven't already. There are a number of benefits, one of which is the Spiritual Care Australia news, which keeps you updated with all the things that are happening through SCA, often has great articles, ideas, reflections, and links to the professional development opportunities that are coming up. So if you haven't already become a member, I do encourage you to pop onto the website, go through the updated membership application process, and we look forward to having you on board. Thanks everybody for being part of this update. There are some absolutely fabulous things happening with Spiritual Care Australia, and it is your organisation. So we do encourage you to get involved, whether that's at a local level, through local hubs, whether that's through our online social media presence, or whether that's coming along to our professional development, including things like this fabulous conference. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.